Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of World Talks here on TVP World. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee, and please join me and my guests on this next interview. President Trump has pledged to swiftly end the war in Ukraine, but this comes as U.S. military aid and intelligence sharing have been halted, raising concerns about Kiev's ability to defend itself. Meanwhile, Elon Musk has hinted at cutting Starlink access, a crucial tool for Ukraine's military. With the frontline situation worsening, is peace being brokered at Ukraine's expense? Joining us today on TVP World to discuss these developments is Gary Tabach, former Chief of Staff at the NATO Military Liaison Mission in Moscow. Hello, sir, and welcome to TVP World.
It's always good to be on the TVP World. Thank you, Ben.
So, Gary, well, since the beginning, you've been one of the more optimistic people when it comes to Trump's rhetoric and whether or not he will be more supportive of Ukraine. You previously stated that Trump would actually be more supportive of the war-torn country. How do you explain the current halt in military aid and intelligence sharing?
Well, it comes as a surprise to me, and I think to many people. But again, we've always known that President Trump has all kinds of tricks and things, and he has said that he didn't expect that. He thought that he was going to have a more difficult time with Putin, getting him to the negotiations table. But it seems to me like Putin has been tricky that we expected, being a KGB guy. And President Trump is saying, look, I have more difficulty dealing with President Zelensky, bringing him to the negotiations table to stop the war, or at least to have ceasefire or truth or some kind of stop the mass killings of Ukrainians, because that's what's going on right now. And because of politics and lots of rumors and the hype in the media, I guess he's coming to such drastic issues. But at the same time, he's saying that if Russians do not stop bombarding Ukraine right now, he's going to bring some serious sanctions, monetary sanctions on their banks, and kind of bring their economy to a halt. And also, as you can see, that the oil prices have dropped drastically in the last few days, which means that some of the things that President Trump has said is happening. I just think that I'm still optimistic. I think that there is a way out of this very, very difficult situation. And hopefully President Trump knows what he's doing. So we'll see on Tuesday how the negotiations will go.
All right, so it does seem like, at least rhetorically, Trump and Moscow seems to agree more on a couple of stuff. But even though Trump claims that Putin does want peace, we still see a mass bombardment of Ukraine. In fact, as the conversation is still ongoing. Do you think that perhaps it's now, turn for Trump to turn a harsher stance to Russia?
Well, again, I'm a military man. I'm always on the harsher stance. But, I give this example when there's a soldier that kind of went nuts in the barracks, and there's some other soldiers there, young man there, and he's standing there with a grenade with a pin pulled out, and he's saying, I'm just going to blow everything up. What do? Do you have a sergeant major come in and start yelling at him and telling him that he's going to kill him and he's going to destroy him and he's going to be punished and all that stuff? Or are you going to have him say, listen, son, come down. It's okay. Let's go talk. Give me the grenade. You're a good guy. I'll give you some leave. You'll go see your girlfriend, and try to talk him out of it, being nice to him. So we have a KGB thug standing there with a grenade with a pin pulled out, and he thinks he's winning because of the Kursk region. That's what's happening there, and that is why President Trump is pressuring so hard to bring the war to a halt, because, to be honest, Ukrainians are losing. Of course, President Trump, I think, is very frustrated with Europe, because Europe, keeps talking tough, but not really doing much. In a way, just again, promises, and have not been very active in the last 3 years while the war is raging. And to this day, buying and supplying Russia with hard currency, buying Russian gas and actually buying more of it than what they're contributing to a war effort in Ukraine. So I think that's also a frustrating point, and saying again that Europe is loaning the money to Ukraine to fight the war, and the United States is giving the money that we borrow from China. So it's a very I think it's very complicated geopolitical and financial structure that we're caught in while Ukrainians are dying and bleeding. So I think that and again, I can't read President Trump because he's way smarter than me, but what he's trying to do is just bring a halt to this whole situation and sort things out. So, but I guess both sides don't want to. Both sides want to get an upper hand on it, and yet, but while it's going on, like I said, Ukrainians are bleeding out.
Right. Like you mentioned, Donald Trump does want to see people stop dying in the front, but a lot of people from Poland and the Baltic states have long been arguing that Russia has its own imperial ambitions, which never truly end. Do you think there's a disconnect in the West's understanding of this Russian expansionism, and perhaps that's where the disconnect is coming from, where perhaps they're not that concerned about what happens after the ceasefire?
Well, I think, I don't know, Ben, I can't talk for the entire West, but I can, I think, speak freely about you and I, and both of us, we understand that it's not going to stop. That this KGB thug and whoever is going to replace him, they're not going to stop. This is a problem that we're going to have to face. It's like Israelis. They understand that it's not going to stop. But what they do each time they sign an agreement of ceasefire or even peace for land and things like this, they very quickly start preparing for the next war with the Arab world and with the terrorists. And after this is over, after this war, after this hostage crisis that's going to be eventually over, they're going to be preparing for the next one, because they know that this is who their neighbor is and how difficult it is. And I think Ukrainians and Europeans and Poles, look at Poles, they're preparing, they're getting all the mails, get voluntary military training. They know. So we all know, I think anybody who's got a brain of a squirrel at least understands that Russia is not going to come down, but we need a break. We need something because they're advancing. And we need Europe and United States to engage together at this, including getting China at least to be, there's China also involved, to give Ukraine, like Israel, some time to rebuild their military industry, to rebuild their military, to get men trained and get their economy going. Otherwise, if it continues the way it is, we'll lose.
Right, like you mentioned, the U.S. and EU needs to come together, but we recently saw Polish Foreign Minister and U.S. Senator Marco Rubio clash over commitments when it comes to Ukraine's use of Starlink. Do you think this might signal even greater growing divisions between the alliance?
Well, I don't know. I hope not. I think that, again, I was stationed in Poland when Poland became a NATO country and when Poland became European Union. They're our best allies in the United States. We've always had a very strong relationship with Poland. And I think that what my government is doing, being very aggressive government, because 3 years have been lost, they're trying aggressively to address the issue with Europe. And our best ally, I think, in Europe, again, this is my personal opinion, I'm not speaking for my government. I think that our best ally in Europe is Great Britain and Poland. So that is why probably there is heated discussions. And like when you talk to your best friend, you expect him to do something for you. You expect him to get in line and march in step with you. So I think this is what happens. This is why there's heated discussions. This is why they're saying, listen, we control Starlinks. We control everything. You gotta march with us within step. You can't fall back, because if you don't march, we're all gonna die. So, but I think this is just showing that the strong bond between Poland and the United States. That's how I take it. And again, like you're saying, I try to look on the positive side of it.
All right, thank you so much, Gary, for your input and insight. I really appreciate it. And thanks for being with us on TVP World.
Okay.
Cheers.
Thank you. Thanks. Thank you. Bye-bye.
And thank you for tuning into this edition of World Talks. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.